Hello, welcome back to 1874. It's time for a match reaction show as Villa fell to a 1-0 defeat at Brentford. Horrible game to watch. Not sure why I decided to do this straight after. Wished I hadn't. This show is sponsored by Match Bingo. If you head to 1874.io/matchbingo or scan the QR code on your screen if you're watching on YouTube right now, then you'll be able to sign up for everything they have to offer. Hopefully someone won some money on Match Bingo today because someone needs to take a positive from the day because that was not good. Really, again, 2 games in, 0 goals scored. Not brilliant. Didn't ever feel like we were going to score in that game. That's the second game running out. That's 3 actual Premier League games without a goal as well, if you include the last game of last season as well. Villa looking toothless, devoid of ideas. And, you know, when you've got that, there's always a risk that you're going to concede a goal. And Villa, of course, did that in the first half, as we all know. Brentford 1, Villa 0. We might as well start with the goal. Shit, awful, horrible, feeble from Pau Torres. Martinez did well, made a good save and bounced around awfully off the back of his save, and Ouattara's put it in for a debut goal. And I think he was one of the reasons that I think Brentford looked sharp in that first half, especially in transition, in that there was some fresh blood in there. Something was injected into them that they hadn't had the game previous. They had a new signing to kind of get the fan base up and freshen things up. For me, I thought we looked pretty stale today. Really, really stale. I don't want to get on Buendia's back, but because I think he can have a future here and I think he can make a difference this season, but it is almost a backward step when you think, you know, he's the one who's coming on as first sub. He couldn't get on the pitch in the first half of last season, and then a year on, he's coming on after what has been a good pre-season, but I did almost look at it and think this is stale. This is a team that hasn't been freshened up for a while. Probably the newest player I think that was starting was Anana, who we signed obviously over 12 months ago. I thought he was poor all game, to be honest. In the middle of the park, just looked clumsy in the middle of the park. And for 50 million, I want to see a little bit more. You know, we've lost Kamara to injury early doors as well. Rodgers was not in the game yet again. When he was running into cul-de-sacs, getting tackled. I think his body language wasn't great through that game as well. That's 2 games running that's bad from him. Didn't really do anything in the first half, kind of huffed and puffed. Actually, no, we didn't even huff and puff, did we? We just were devoid of ideas, devoid of creativity and devoid of penetration and pace. I tweeted at half-time that, you know, we didn't have a great first half of the season, 6 wins in 23, I think it was, but Asensio and Rashford just injected something into that squad in the second half of the season. There was something needed injected into that game today, and although we were better in the second half, because Son looked all right when he came on, I actually thought Bergard was one of our better players when he came on as well. We don't look like we've got the options to change things. Marlon, I don't know what he has to do to start. He did okay when he came on as well, but overall, what I just thought of our team was it just looked a little bit stale and disjointed as well, maybe, in the fact with the 2 left-footed centre-backs. It didn't cause us massive problems, but I think it does always stop you from moving the ball forward quicker. Then McGinn on the right-hand side, I've got no problem with that, but if you're going to do that, you've got to have width coming from somewhere. It's not there because Cash isn't allowed to come forward. So in truth, there's no point having John McGinn on the right-hand side because he's not a winger. You need a winger if you're going to have a right back that can't come forward. So overall, just didn't work what we tried again, and we could still be playing now. And I don't think that goal was ever going to come. I didn't get off my seat once, if I'm to be perfectly honest. And yeah, that's me summing up the game quickly in the first 4 minutes, and not any more about it. But there's 350 who want to hear what I've got to say and absolutely flying through that at the moment. So I'll just delve into the chat and see what's coming. Do let me know what you think. I mean, to be honest, going through the chat and social media, it does look like crisis point. Dave says all the moaners are out. If you can't moan after that, when can you? I'm not generally a moaner. Not really something that I do. I usually try and be positive, but I found that a tough watch off the back of last weekend as well, where there was caveats to last weekend, whereas I don't think there was too many caveats to today. I wanted to see a reaction when you've put in an insipid performance like we did last week. You want to see a reaction off the back of it, and I don't think we got that reaction today. Watkins hasn't really had anything. Again, no service yet again for the centre forward, and you can have any centre forward up there, they're not going to score if there's no service. He nearly made something happen for himself in the first half with a clever bit of movement and just couldn't quite get the shot away quick enough. But there's just I don't know. There was too many bang average performances in there today, and when you've got that, you're going to struggle to make things happen. Brentford was a chance, to go on a team who've been battered last week and try and put a little bit of pressure on them early doors. We did the opposite. Find ourselves 1-0 down very early in the game and give them some comfort, give them a way into that game. And in truth, they looked relatively comfortable defending us. They were quite happy to sit back in that second half, let us have the ball. Villa ask questions, but no real answers. I thought they're right back, exactly the type of player we should be looking at. Coyote, that's a brilliant piece of business. I put a tweet up that I did in June about him, can do absolutely everything as a right back for 13 million. I think they paid for him. Just disgusts me that we can't even do those kind of signings this summer. We've done nothing, and the transfer window now, I feel, and the rules and the regulations, I feel like it's transmitting onto the pitch, and I feel like a little bit like it's transmitting into the dugout as well. Emery looked frustrated again. He looked like that was a carbon copy of the first half of last season, really, where we didn't have much about us other than the Champions League games. In that first attack, goal. So that was like the same as last season. And just devoid of ideas, really. We lack that freshness. Asensio and Rashford obviously honestly gave us so much. And they really did reinvigorate Emery and reinvigorate that squad. And without them, it looked like the first half of last season's again. And I love these players. I'm not getting on the players back. I don't want to do that. But you are relying on the core from 2020, 2021. It's all of them playing. Before, we've had a fair few of them on the bench ready to come on. They're the ones driving standards and whatnot. They get the club. They've been there for a long time. But there's a lack of pace in that 11. Again, a bit like last week as well. I thought we looked better when we had a little bit of pace back in the side in Marlon, Gasson, even Maatsen. Left back, I'm a big fan of Luca Dean, but I think it's all just felt a bit pedestrian. It needed some pace from somewhere, and if you're not going to put it in the three behind Watkins, you have to play Maatsen and just inject some pace from somewhere. Just nothing really. And like I said, I think the PSR, the summer, the lack of business that we've done, losing players who are a big part of the dressing room and popular in the dressing room, it's transmitting onto the pitch, and it's no other way of looking at it. 2 games, 0 goals, 1 point. It's a bad start to the season. And now next week becomes massive against Crystal Palace, Sunday night, 7:00. Not an ideal kickoff time, in all honesty, as well. And Shane O'Neill says here, 2.5 billion spent in the Premier League, and we have a negative spend. It's absolutely baffling, isn't it? We just can't do anything. But I do think he could have freshened it up a little bit more today. To be honest, like I said, Brentford, it was pretty much the same 11 as last week, but they had something fresh, something new, someone with a little bit of pace, and that's where the goal came from. And that pace and that pace in transition, that's won them the game at the end of the day. And I feel like our lack of that is lost us. I never felt like when we were in transition we were going to score. And in the second half, we huffed and puffed, but could never quite blow the house down. So all in all, just not great, not brilliant at all. I mean, there's some terrible comments in the chat about Unai Emery. I'm not even going to entertain. I can't even keep up with the chat because there's too many of you in there speaking about it. It's not good. It's not good. Doesn't feel good this start to the season. I mean, we won our first game of last season. I think even when we got thumped by Newcastle in the first game of the season before, we bounced back in the next game and we'd actually played well. We played better in that 5-1 defeat to Newcastle than we probably did today. And it's hard because the players then have got so much credit in the bank. But I can't. There's a few alarming issues from them first few games that I can't believe weren't rectified from even last week. The lack of width and the lack of pace and penetration in the side, and would just looked devoid of creativity as well. Rodgers is a lot on his shoulders this season. In the first 2 games, he's not been at it at all. I didn't think his body language was great through the game either. He lost the ball at one point and was kind of strolling around. He had no kind of effort to get it back. Watkins has not had a great game. I'm not saying he has, and he got no service whatsoever. But Ollie, at one point, was trying to win the ball and hurt himself in the process. At least he's like trying to close down and put Brentford under pressure. Rodgers was sauntering around the pitch when he lost the ball. He's almost played in 3 different positions through the game at various points as well. It's something has to change before next week. Something fundamentally needs to change, whether it's selection or whether it's getting some new bodies through the door, because I think the players that were there today need a little bit of help. I think the manager needs some help as well. I look at that 11 that was there today. It's not going to finish top 5, top 6 which is where we want to be, it's not going to win the Europa League. I don't think that's an overreaction. I expect us to do business before the end of the window. I have done throughout the window, but it's almost like now, how much? We look so short. Gasson, like I said, has come in and looked good, but you've lost 4 players from the second half of the last season, attacking wise, that you could call upon, and we're not stronger for it. Bailey, Ramsey, Asensio, Rashford. I think people underestimate what Rashford and Asensio did for us. I really, really do. If we can get Asensio back this week, I think that would be huge. Because no disrespect to Amy Buendia, because as I say, I think he can play a part. Asensio had off games, but you can see the difference when you've got Asensio in the 10 compared to when you've got Buendia in the 10. I always just get the sense with Buendia when he's on the pitch, he's just trying too hard. He wants to do well so much that I actually think it's affecting his game, because he knows he's not going to get those minutes back when he's on there. I think he feels like he has to do something, and when he doesn't, progressively I feel like he gets worse. And obviously, when you're a sub coming on, it's not great getting subbed off, whatever the circumstances. So that's 11 minutes really of me talking, and I feel a little bit bewildered. Not a great Saturday, if I'm being honest. Let me know now what you think can change in terms of selection. Everyone's going to be calling for transfers, but we know the boat that we're in is not a good one. With that, it's tough at the moment. That was a tough watch, and people who've watched me for years will know I'm not really an overreactor, and I'm not really massively negative. But that one today feels a big one to me. Feels like some kind of tipping point for something. I don't know what. But it does feel like a tipping point, losing that game today, to be so toothless, to have not scored a goal in the first 2 games of the season. It's not good. You can't dress that up. Aaron Jones says Asensio is not the answer, doesn't offer pace or width. We need some pace around him, and I believe that we have that in the squad with players that are starting the game on the bench. In all honesty, I do think Asensio is a class act in that kind of game. I think he's the kind of player to make the difference with his movement, clever movement, takes up good positions, creative, can make something happen, get shots off. There was none of that today. I mean, can anyone remember a decent opening that we created that wasn't really off the breakdown of a set piece? McGinn had that one that Kelleher did well to save in the first half. Cash squared one that maybe someone could have got on the end of in the second half. I thought Rogers took too long with his chance in the second on his left foot, although I do think the pass was a little bit over hit. Just aware, Dave, and like little things that don't really matter to me. They're just spotted. Like usually, if McGinn goes off, Martinez is captain today. Mings takes the armband, so he's Mings now vice captain. What's happened there with Martinez? We know he was halfway out the door in the summer. It just all these little things when you add them up together, they don't paint a brilliant picture. And I just can't, my overriding reaction, and I'm not one to get on the back of the manager either because he's an absolute superstar, but to keep it so much the same as last week when it was so clear that we were lacking width and pace, I find that like a difficult thing to take. Like Ian says, I'd like to see how Villa do when Conte is back, but realistically, I don't think that makes a difference today in the way we've lost that game. I honestly don't think it matters. Phil Murtagh, sorry, I've clicked on the wrong one. Phil Murtagh says we were just ponderous all over the pitch. Yeah, we were. That's Onana just labouring around the pitch. He's a good player. There's something in there, but don't like to bring up his price. But for £50 million in a PSR world, when we don't really have £50 million, there's got to be a little bit more in there. You've got to be offering a little bit more. You're 6'5". Put yourself around the pitch a little bit more. It's all well and good coming and geeing up the crowd at the end of a game when we win, and which obviously you haven't had the chance to do this season. But you're 6'5". Put yourself about a little bit more. I thought we looked better when McGinn dropped into central midfield. In all honesty, and he was next to Sillemans because at least he had a bit of purpose and tried to play the game forwards. And I know it was all just a bit sideways, backwards, a bit slow, a bit laborious. Say for £50 million, you've got to be asking for more than that. These are good players at Villa, but you put them all together in that system, and it should not come together in the last few games at all. I haven't really got anything else to add. I'm sure no one wants to hear me drone on for another 15 minutes, but I did just want to come on and do a show. So yeah, Thank you to those that have joined me in the chat. Way too much going on in there for me to keep up with you, so apologies for that. I haven't managed to get too much up on the screen. Weston says Kamara once again injured. Yeah, I mean, it looks not in. It's not in, but we don't know how bad that's going to be. He gets a lot of injuries in there as well. Kamara, it's just disappointing. John Dyehouse, sorry, pretty much what I've said. The problem is going forward, too narrow, no pace. Yep, I think most people who watched the last two games of Villa would agree with you. So hopefully, by the next time I come on, we've got an idea of, that someone might be coming in to eradicate some of these issues. And before Crystal Palace, he's going to have to make changes for that game. He's going to have to put a bit of pace. We've got to make the pitch a bit bigger. We don't make the pitch big enough with that kind of personnel in that system. And like I said, I've got no problem with any of those players whatsoever. All perfectly good players for Villa that have got us to where we are. Great parts of the team. But when I saw them all together today, as I say, normally a couple are on the bench, and you've got those players that you've got a nicer balance. Today just felt stale for me. That was my overriding emotion of it. It just felt style like I could have been watching Villa in 2021 or 2022 here. That's not really how I should be feeling watching us in 2025. So, right, I'm going to go. Please check out Match Bingo. Maybe win yourself some money on the Arsenal Leeds game if you want to get yourself a bingo card for that. Give the video a like. I don't know why I'm even asking for likes. It just seems a bit pointless at the moment asking for that, but I'll ask for it anyway. Leave us a comment with your thoughts on the game, and please subscribe with your post notifications on. In all honesty, this show I've done now is not a great advert for the channel. Normally I'm a lot more cheerier than this, even when we lose, but I did not enjoy that one bit today. If you've listened via audio, 5 stars, reviews and comments, if you could do that, that would be absolutely fantastic, and there'll probably be some more content in the next 24 to 48 hours, so keep your eyes on our socials to know when that's happening. Get yourself a Founders t-shirt. I'm wearing a Founders t-shirt right now, foundersdesign.co.uk. Apologies that it's just me rambling on for now 17 minutes, but sometimes I do just like to come on my own, in all honesty, and try and engage with you. So thank you so much for all the support. I popped to the shop this morning, so many nice words for me in the shop, people coming to speak to me, so I really, really appreciate that as well. Have a good Saturday night. Try and make something of it. Get yourself a takeaway and watch some trash on TV, or watch a film, and try and forget about Villa for a few hours if you can. And as always, I'll end with a massive up the Villa.